This is Doug, who's doing something very unusual. I've never seen a cat use its paw to grab something. Let's see if he'll do it again. Not quite the same, but yeah, I like that. All right, Doug, I usually would have dogs on this, but as we can pan down and you can see what we have going on here, we have sleeping dogs. And in this case, let's come back to me. Sleeping dogs are actually a good thing in this case because these dogs don't really show any respect for their humans' personal space. They jump up on people when they come in trying to claim them. We're going to go through some things off camera, some rules and structure to help the dog start to identify as a follower. But one of the primary issues the guardian wants to work on is they having accidents in the house. And I asked some questions to determine if it was accidents or marking. Most people confuse the two things together. Marking is typically a couple of dots, just a little bit. It's usually on vertical surfaces, or the corner of a chair or couch, something like that. An accident is a larger amount of volume. It's usually in the middle of the floor. Now, dogs do mark where other dogs have gone, so if you have a dog that has an accident, it's going to attract the other dog to have an accident there, and sometimes you can have a vicious circle that starts. In this video, I'm going to go over some remedial potty training tips to help the guardians. Now, the very first thing with this is I asked, what is the word to go potty, which it is the word potty, and I asked how it was introduced, and they said we could take them outside and say go potty. But if you don't speak Spanish and I say Tiana said to you, Tiana said, the number of times I say it, the loudness I say it, isn't going to help you understand. Dogs learn through association, repetition, and good timing of a reward or a correction. So for potty training, the tips that I'm going to go over in this video are just basically remedial or general potty training tips, but really used in a remedial situation. So the first thing you do is I would take the dogs, we have 2 dogs, I would take them out one dog at a time. I would take the dog out and give it 5 minutes to go. If it doesn't go within 5 minutes, it's not urgent or pressing enough for it to go. Now these dogs, even though they're big, are only 6 months old, so they're really still puppies, and so they don't have a lot of reliability with it. Usually a general rule of thumb is a dog can hold it for 1 month for each month that they are aged until they're about somewhere between 6 and 9 months. At that point, they should be able to hold it. But a dog cannot hold it reliably until they're at least 4 months old. So what I do is I would take the dogs out one at a time and come up with a new command word. If you've been using an old word and it hasn't worked and you use it, you're frustrated, you're using it probably with the wrong timing. Sometimes it has a lot of baggage with it, and it's just much, much faster and easier to come up with a new word. In this case, have we decided on the word we want to use? You want to use the T word or the
T word?
Okay, so we're going to use the word Trump. And so you can come up with any words you want, but I like to use words that bring a little bit of levity to situations because dogs can actually read a human face, especially if you smile. So if you say something that's funny and your roommates or your guests laugh, the dogs feel good about themselves, and levity can help. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the dogs out one at a time when it's time to go potty. And I guess before we do this, let's talk about the times that dogs are most apt to go. Right after waking up, within 5 minutes of eating, and 15 minutes after the start of heavy playtime. So if the dogs start kind of wrestling or running around in here, note the clock. And then after about 10 or 12 minutes, I would immediately take them outside. One of the key secrets to potty training a dog is putting it in the right place at the right time. It's unnatural for dogs to hold it in. They just let it fly wherever they're at unless they're in their nest or their den or right outside. So it's unusual for them to do it. We're teaching them how to behave in our world, so it's incumbent upon us to teach them what is expected. So basically what we're going to do is take them outside, and as soon as dog starts to pee or poop, we want to take them outside those 3 times. Also during remedial potty training, if you have a puppy, taking out once an hour is probably a good idea as well. You're hoping that when they happen to need to go, they are in the place that's okay for them to go. And when that happens enough time and you reward them properly, then they start, I'm not going to pee inside. I don't get anything for doing it inside, but if I go outside, I get a reward. So we follow the dog, and again, give it 5 minutes. If in 5 minutes it hasn't gone, put it on a leash, bring it back inside, and attach the leash to your belt, or hold the leash for about 15 to 30 minutes and take the dog outside and keep repeating this process until they eliminate or are what I call unloaded. So as soon as the dog starts to pee or poop, if you can look at your dog's rear end and you can see it kind of puckering, you know it's about to poop. Saying it before the poop actually drops is even better, but you want to say the word the second the dog starts to pee or poop. Same word for both activities. You don't need to separate it. So as soon as I see the dog starting to pee, I'm going to say the word Trump. And just say it once. And when we have dogs that are potty, we have to say, oh, Trump! And all the animals in the room just got up for that. So we can stop the dog from fully evacuating its bladder if we use too excited a word. So you want to say it in a normal tone of voice, Trump, And don't baby talk it. You can baby talk to your dogs, but you need to always baby talk to your dogs. You really are not supposed to be doing this, so I'm going to have to put you down. There we go. All right, so we're going to say the word one time. If you say it multiple times, the dog starts to think it's gibberish. So as soon as they start to pee or poop, I'm going to say the word trump. As soon as they get done, then I'm going to have a high-value training treat with me. As soon as the dog gets done, I'm going to crouch down, usually like a softball catcher. Good catch. And then I'm going to put it in the dog's mouth, and I'm going to say the word trump right after it goes into the dog's mouth. Whenever you're delivering a treat, a little free dog training tip is you want to give the command word immediately after the treat goes into the dog's mouth or immediately after they're being petted. That kind of brightens up the command word and creates a little bit more of a positive association with it. So I say trump at the same second it goes into his mouth. So first we're going to associate the word trump with the act of elimination. And then the second thing we're going to do is associate the command word trump with the reward. Now if we do this consistently, after a while, the dog will start to associate. This is basically classical conditioning. Have you ever heard of Pavlov's dog? This is a classical example of that. So you say potty, and the dog says, "Oh yeah, yeah," or trump in this case, and they start bouncing around. You know that that's a yes. But if you say trump, the dog looks at you and is like, "Huh," then you know that's not a yes. So again, I would do this for each dog for about a week to 2 weeks, taking them out by themselves. Now, if it's first thing in the morning, or if it's one of the times that I outlined earlier, that's going to give you a higher opportunity to reward the dog for doing the proper thing. Now, a couple things you don't want to do. The old wives' tale of rubbing the dog's nose in it has been clinically proven to make it harder to potty train your dog. In some cases, the dog will not alert you that it has to potty because it's like, human just rubs my face in urine for no reason, so I'm not going to tell them when I have to potty. I'm going to go hide behind the couch and do it when they're not away. In California, I have a lot of clients with this problem, and they punish the dog, and the dog won't pee anywhere near them, and they don't have a yard. So they don't have the ability to put in the backyard and go inside. They have to walk in on a leash. So as you can see with the dogs here, they're already starting to try to push in, and this is stuff we're going to work on in the session. Let's get you to go back, buddy. I don't like doing the pushing, but right now we got to do the video. All right, so the other mistake that people make a lot of times is they catch the dog in the act, they're like, "No, bad dog, no, bad dog, bad dog." Dog's like, what the dog hears is the human gets mad when I pee or poop. But guess what? I have to pee or poop like 3 to 5 times a day. So the human is unreasonable. So instead of letting them know I have to pee or poop, again, I'm going to go hide and do it away from them. So make sure, when it comes to potty training, positivity is the only way to go about it. Anything else is going to slow it down and make it harder for you. I know it's frustrating, but if your dog has an accident in the house, especially if it's a puppy, if you really need to be physical about it, you can get a stick and really hard hit yourself because you're the one who didn't take your dog out and put in a position to go potty in the right place. Don't get mad and don't punish your dog because in their mind, they're not doing anything wrong. All right, so once the dog has peed or pooped, then you're rewarding it. Now the dog has an association. I pee or poop inside. After enough repetition, nothing happens inside, but outside, man, the bar is pretty low for them. All they got to do is poop on the lawn and they give me treats and cookies. Now, if you want to, another little trick is a lot of people want their dog to potty in a specific part of their yard. And so I'm going to give you a little bonus tip at the end of this video. So what you want to do is basically I take the dog out on a leash for about a week to 2 weeks. And I have 5 high-value training treats with me. And I go to the area in the lawn, the same area every time where I want the dog to pee or poop. And I give the dog like a 5-foot radius, whatever with the leash. I don't move, but you can go anywhere you want in this area. If you go in the 5-foot radius, I give you 5 treats. And every time that the treat touches the dog's lips, we're going to say trump, trump, trump for 5 times. After doing that for about a week to 2 weeks, you're going to take the dog out off leash, but you're going to walk directly to the area. Let them smell that you have the treat so they know that you have a reward for them. If they go in that 8-foot or 7-foot, whatever that radius area is, you get the 5 treats. If you go anywhere on the lawn, you get 1 treat beside the 8-foot area. So now you're giving the dog an incentive to go in a specific place, which is very nice because you're not walking through pee and poop all the time. Now make sure this designated place is away from your house, away from the door. Their mother teaches them, we just had an accident. And that was not marking, that was just a pee. You just stood there and just peed. So we want to interrupt. We can make a sound or yell or something like that to interrupt it. And then we want to take the dog outside and we have a reward that we can give the dog for completing the act. But in this case, I don't think the dog has any clue that what he did was wrong because of the way that he acted. So I think that basically this is a case where we need to do some remedial potty training. Now, taking the dog to a specific place and potting, that's nice, but for you guys' case, I would make sure that you're just really stressing every time when the dog goes outside, a human goes out there with them, with the treat, so we can provide that reward. And sit. And make sure that we're not doing anything to punish the dogs for doing the wrong thing. It's just we got to clean it up and be like, okay. And sometimes you can also take a look at the clock. How long has it been? For dogs, water goes them typically about 45 minutes. So if your dog drinks a lot of water, look at the clock. Okay, well, it's 3:41. Okay, I'm going to take the dog outside at 4:30 and make sure, Siri, at 4:30, remind me to take the dogs outside. Use your smartphone. I mean, people, I'll remember, and you won't. You'll forget the time, and then you'll look up, and the dog's peed on the floor again. Just set yourself a reminder. One other little trick that you can do for dogs when it comes to food, the most important thing is the smell. The temperature of the food is the second most important thing. The taste is a distant third. They do not have a lot of taste buds. We have a lot more taste buds than they do. They have a lot more scent buds, or not buds, but you know what I'm saying. So I have a Dalmatian, and he has urinary stones. So he has to eat this low purine food that's not very tasty. To make it more palatable for him, I put it in a pint of hot water, and I swirl it around with the dry kibble. I put it up, let it sit for an hour. All the kibble absorbs the water. Then I dump probably about 3 or 4 more pints of hot water and swirl it around. I want him to urinate frequently and get the stones out before they get big enough to block his urinary tract. So the nice thing is, if you load your dog up, knowing that it takes 45 minutes, if you have a Saturday or something where you really want to emphasize this, you feed your dog and you dump in a couple pints of hot water, make sure it's cool enough that they can then drink it, swirl it around. They have to drink the water first, then they get to eat the food, and then within 45 minutes they're going to have to potty. That gives you an opportunity to richly reward them. And so I would maybe stagger them if you're going to do it since we have 2 dogs, maybe feed one and feed the next one a half an hour later. So it's not ideal in terms of feeding, but to give yourselves this little head start or jump start, knowing that the dog's going to have to pee or poop, gives you an opportunity to reward them. So again, positive reinforcement is the only way to go. Make sure you come up with a completely new command word you're using consistently, and do it again. I would do it for each dog for like for the next 2 weeks. You're going to be out there solo when it's potty time, and you're not going to let them pee until after, or play until after it. Now, another little trick that you can do is, if the dogs really like to walk, take them outside, have a leash with you. If the dog pees or poops, reward them the way I talked about, and then immediately take the dog out for a little walk around the block. So if you go outside, not only do you get a little bit of a tasty treat, you get the reward of a walk. And most dogs enjoy going for a walk. That's why we make it just around the block. So it's not a huge walk, but again, wow, so when I pee outside, we go for a walk afterwards. When I pee inside, they clap at me, I don't get any treats, and there's not a lot of reward or benefit for it. This way we're giving the dog an incentive to do what we want them to do. All right, this is a video full of a bunch of potty training tips and tricks to hopefully get your dogs to start doing their business outside.